There's pumpkin pulp on my shoes. There's also a skeleton holding a rake on my driveway. And the faint sound of my wife sighing from somewhere inside the house. Yeah, it's the middle of October. And first of all, I'm full on in allergy season. You can probably hear it, so I apologize. But I'm also knee-deep in what can be described as organized chaos. There's a half-finished sign in my yard that says, Pumpkin Town, coming soon. And I'm standing in the middle of it, wondering how this became my life. I look around at the skeleton crew. I mean, literally, plastic skeletons. One is holding blueprints, the one a cup of coffee, and I think to myself, why do I do this to myself every single year? But anyway, hey, welcome to 1 Minute Later. I'm Craig, and today, I'm going to come to you from somewhere between a construction zone and a pumpkin graveyard. And if you've ever bitten off more than you can chew and then decided to add decorative lighting to it, you're going to fit right in. So grab coffee, maybe a carving knife. Let's talk about this, how it all started. I grew up in Gaylord, Michigan, northern part of Michigan. When we describe it to people, it's the middle finger, first knuckle from the top, okay? It's a small town. There's cold nights, the kind where your breath fogs up in your plastic mask and your mom makes you wear that winter coat over your costume, which is basically parental sabotage. Me and my friends, we had this whole trick-or-treating thing down to a science. We knew the good neighborhoods, and we knew who handed out the full-size candy bars and who was just kind of trying to pass off raisins as joy. But we stopped everywhere. We would visit the house that gave out pennies, the dentist who handed out the floss because apparently irony is a part of dental school, and the sweet lady from the Methodist church who gave out something called testaments. If you know, you know. And I loved it. Every single bit of it. I even loved the tracts from the Baptist family down the street because it was ours. It was childhood. It was that one night a year when every porch light meant something good for a kid, right? Well, fast forward a few years. I'm married, second kid on the way, sitting on the couch. There he is. There's this guy on the Food Network, and he's carving a pumpkin. And he's not doing the triangle eyes or the jagged mouth kind. This thing had like cheekbones. It looked like it could blink. And that guy's name was Ray Villafine. And it turns out he was right near from where I grew up in Michigan. And I remember just sitting there and I was thinking, that's not pumpkin carving. That's art. And from that night on, I was hooked. Now, I'm no Ray Villafine, but once you start carving, it's a slippery slope. One pumpkin becomes five turns into a weekend project, and a weekend project turns into a full-blown small town made entirely of pumpkins and skeletons. And so here we are. Pumpkin Town, 2025. Population, me, a bunch of gourds, and a dream. So this year, I've got 20 real carved pumpkins that I'm lined up to do. I also got 8 plastic skeletons kind of running the place. You got the mayor, round orange guy with a big grin and always way too much confidence. And then you got the sheriff, one eye slightly higher than the other, which feels about right for a small town law enforcement. There's a baker pumpkin with powdered sugar on his stem and a rolling pin made from an old broom handle. A barber with a little mustache carved right into the rind, and a skeleton customer mid-haircut, or at least what's left of it. You got the Vine Brothers Quartet, 4 pumpkins with exaggerated singing faces, mouths open like they're trying to hit that high note. And then there's the Pumpkin Town florist, Lulu Gord. She's arranging fake flowers in a tin can. There's the construction foreman, still supervising with his hammer, and a little pumpkin kid perched up on a hay bale with some freckles carved in. Every face is different. Every expression is a new experiment in carving and lighting and, frankly, emotional stability. I spend my free time in the garage with a headlamp on, surrounded by carving tools and glue guns, and whatever song on the Bluetooth speaker decided to repeat. The pumpkins are then sealed, some are painted a little bit, patched up, and then repatched. I've learned more about mold prevention than any human really should. And then there's the skeleton crew, and they have issues. One is missing an arm, the other keeps collapsing like he's over all the drama. I spend half of my evenings whispering threats at inanimate bones. Every year, I say to myself, I'm going to simplify this whole thing. And every year, I lie to myself. But then, the night arrives. The night the trick-or-treaters show up. The lights flip on, Pumpkin Town comes alive. Figuratively, obviously. Floodlights glow a warm orange, the spotlights hitting the faces, and for a few short hours, my yard is the happiest corner on the block. I mean, cars slow down, kids laugh, parents take pictures. They walk up the driveway wide-eyed at the pumpkin mayor, pointing at the skeleton barber, trying to figure out what's going on with the pumpkin bakery. And by the time they reach the porch, they're already smiling. And that's when I hand them their prize. A full-size candy bar. Because around here, we don't do fun size. Attached to each wrapper, it's a small card with a verse. Sometimes it's 2 Timothy 1:7, which says, "For God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control." Which, let's be honest, fits the moment. Kids are going to need a little self-control with that much sugar. Other times it's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's short, easy to remember, a little lifeline to whoever needs it. And you know what? If one kid, maybe from the rough home, or the one who gets picked on, or the one who just feels invisible, if one of them finds that card later and it just sparks a flicker of hope, then all of this, all the chaos, all the carving, all the glue, the exhaustion, it's all worth it. Because that's what I remember most about being a kid. It really wasn't the candy. It was the kindness. It was the neighbors, the smiles. It was the people who gave what they had, even if it was pennies or peppermints with Bible verses. And that's what stuck. And maybe that's what I'm trying to give back. So, yeah, my yard's a disaster, my hands are orange, and my skeletons are on strike. But when the laughter hits the driveway and those kids run off comparing candy bars and just smiling at the pumpkin barber, that's the payoff. That's when I remember why I do it every year. 1 minute later, I'm back in the garage, tightening the lights, sharpening the carving knife, and thanking God for the mess that makes joy possible. Hey, thanks for tuning in.